Start your week with a triple shot of good vibes. This is the Project Joy podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas. Thanks for joining me. Good Monday morning, everybody. How are you today? I'm super excited to be here with you for another episode of Project Joy Podcast Live. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas, and it is Monday morning, my friends. It is Monday morning, and I am, thank the Lord, feeling better today. It has been a rough couple of weeks, just feeling really tired. I think a lot of times when we have a lot going on in the world at one time, I tend to embody that, and it doesn't make it for a fun time for Jessica. But here we are, and we're doing better, and that is what counts, right? So I want to welcome everybody who is jumping in live this morning. I want to invite you to share this broadcast out with your friends and family around the globe so that more people can join in with Project Joy with us this morning. So I would love to know, as always, what is something that is bringing you joy in your life today, as I am sharing a little bit about what's bringing me joy today. Let me just adjust my camera a little bit here. Oh my goodness, you guys. So I want to welcome really quick Chad out in the audience. Happy Monday, April 26, 2021. Being alive brings me joy. And I will tell you, Chad, aka Jester, it brings me joy that you are alive too, because Jester is always one of those people coming on to my TikTok lives and everything that is just makes it a better place, always making jokes, always having fun with everybody, keeping the mood light even when things get serious. And I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that a lot. So I am thankful that you're alive and well too this morning. Chad, wherever you are in the world this morning. I know Chad is a truck driver, so he is all over the place depending on where he's at. Oh, we've got another person joining us down in the comments, Donnell Jackson. So speaking of some of my favorite TikTok people, Donnell's joining us from Florida, him and his beautiful wife and daughter. I just love them to pieces. So much joy, so much positivity in their TikTok lives, and I just really appreciate them so much. Last night, so you guys know that I come on and share usually every other Monday because I have every other Sunday Love Rally, but last night Love Rally got canceled, and I was like, what do I do? What do I do with my time? What do I do with myself? Because I'm very much a schedule person. I like things to repeat and be a constant in my life. And so when it got canceled last night, I thought, what do I do? And so I made the decision to just come on live and do whatever. And so I came on TikTok live, and we just, with no expectations, no plans, no nothing. We just went live and did it. And it was the most fun to just relax and cut up and be silly with each other and have fun. I had my sunglasses on, and we had some slow jams on the end of the night and just making friends with each other. And it was such a beautiful high vibe space. And it was, yes, exactly, Chad. It was freestyle. It was just like, there's something to be said for planning and knowing what you're going to do and having it all planned out and working it out. There truly is something to be said for that. I am that way. I love that. But on the other side, there is so much joy in just doing it and going with the flow. It was awesome. And I was so excited that you were there. It was just amazing to just be in that space of other people. And I started out yesterday. I typically do affirmations for the week for people on TikTok Live on Sunday mornings, and a little bit of mentoring, because I used to do that a lot more in my business. And I haven't done that as much recently because my focus has been on the Breakthrough Show, Project Joy, growing the network, growing the viewership, and all of that. And so I haven't done as much of my one-on-one work as I can. So one of the things I started doing was going live on TikTok on Sunday mornings and doing the affirmations. And then yesterday we also did loving kindness meditation, which is one of my absolute favorite spaces to be in. I also shared it last Tuesday on the Java Delight show as well. And it really is such a yummy space to be in, to be able to share that the good vibes with everybody, you know, joy, positivity, all of that with everyone. It's a really beautiful space to be in. So it was my honor, my pleasure to share that with my audience on TikTok yesterday morning. And I do want to give a quick shout out to all of my TikTok friends that are watching streaming live and remind them that I will talk to you after the show is over. So those are some of the things that were bringing me joy this last week, specifically yesterday. I think that it was a much more go with the flow week for me. I didn't have a whole lot scheduled, planned, set in stone, and it was really nice. Oh, also, it was my hubby's birthday on Thursday, on Earth Day, and that was super fun. My husband worked in the morning and then got off early, and we ordered food, and my daughter made cupcakes, and we had a lot of fun. So it was really great. It was really great. We had a good time. And I want to say thank you to everybody who wished my husband Philip a happy birthday. It really was a great day. Yummy spaces are my favorite too. That's the best way I can describe good energy. It's yummy because, you know, y'all, hear me out for a minute. You know, when you eat something really good and you're like, damn, this is yummy. Like, this is so good. And it makes you want to drool and cry and smile and laugh all at one time. When energy is that good, like, that's how I describe that. I have to describe it as yummy because that's what I imagine. That it's like this like decadent gooey caramel something, you know, and so that's my favorite descriptive word for good energy, because it just is. Because it just is. I do want to remind you guys that for next segment, you can go over to projectjoypodcast.com and click the join live button to join us live on air for the next segment of the show to share something that is bringing you joy or gratitude today. You can even shout out to a specific person if you'd like to. Whatever you want to do on air, go to projectjoypodcast.com, click that join live button, and you can join me live on air this morning to share a moment of joy or gratitude with me. I want to say hi to Jason Lansing, who's watching us this morning. Good morning, Jason. Good to see you. Hi, my friend Judith. Isn't yummy such a good word? Like, I love it so much. And it just makes me feel good. It makes me feel like, this is a good moment. This is a good moment. Jimmy agrees that yummy is great. Thank you, Jimmy, for being in agreement with me. I agree with you, my friend. Thank you guys so much for joining us this morning on another episode of Project Joy Live. There is joy in being booted up, Arcturus, for sure. There is absolutely joy in the computer coming on and we're like, oh, thank God it works. Oh, thank God it works. All right, you guys, we are going to take a quick break. I hope you join us. Don't forget, you can go to projectjoypodcast.com and click that join live button and join us live on air to share a moment of joy or gratitude. And we will be back in just a minute for the next segment. Hang tight. Welcome back to Project Joy Live. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas, and I'm super excited, as always, that you're all here with me this morning, this beautiful Monday, April 26, 2021. I do want to shout out one of our new fantastic affiliates, Sloth Sisters Design. Sloth Sisters, you can visit at slothsisters.com, and you can use the code BREAKTHROUGH at checkout for a 10% discount on behalf of Sloth Sisters and myself. Thank you so much for shopping with them and for hanging out with us on Project Joy and the Breakthrough Show Network. So I'm really excited to be here with you again, as always, this morning. So what are some of the things that I wanted to talk to you guys about? First of all, as always, if you're just jumping on, welcome. Thank you so much for being here this morning. I want to get my banner going at the bottom for you guys so that you know where you need to go if you want to pop on to the show this morning. It is a lot sometimes, you guys, juggling behind the scenes, all of these different things all the time. But we're here and we're doing it. You can head over at any time to projectjoypodcast.com and click the join live button to share a moment of joy or gratitude live on air with us. So I heard through the grapevine that the Oscars were on last night, and I have to give a very quick shout out really quickly to Brandon Croucher and the team at Delight Cafe CBD. I am so incredibly proud of you, my friend, for everything that you're doing. Brandon's company, Delight CBD, was chosen to be in the Oscar gift bags, and he got to schmooze it up with all the celebrities on the red carpet this last weekend, and it was so cool to see that happen. And I'm just so proud of him, so incredibly proud of him. So Brandon, we love you so much. We are so Care Bear Branding, you guys know him as. We are so incredibly proud of you and just living your dreams, doing what you need to do, and it's amazing to watch. It's amazing to watch. So we are super proud of him. So also our friend Kevin Kiley was out in LA last week. We're going to get to see him on Thursday for Throwback Thursday show. And in addition, last Wednesday, we had a special edition of the Breakthrough Show called A Journey to Kenya. And the special edition came about because I met Brett Weiss, who is the founder of the Weiss Scholarship Foundation, which provides funding for children to go to school in Dago, Kenya. And through learning about him and his foundation and the children and, you know, everything that they're working on, I learned so much just in my awareness of what they're doing through the Weiss Scholarship Foundation. And I am super excited to make an announcement when I'm done telling you about all of this. But so we can be in our bubble. We can really be in a space of only being truly aware of how we live and where we live in the world and what our culture is and what our traditions are. And when I met Judith saying that Kenya's show was so amazing, I'm so glad you enjoyed it, because when I learned about what Brett was doing over in Kenya, in Dago specifically, and I'm trying to be more specific about it. That's part of my awareness of doing this show. I wanted to highlight what he was doing, of course, but I got inspired in talking to him to share a bigger picture. And behind the scenes, what I wanted to do was share about how we tend to be in our own bubbles, and we don't have this awareness of what is going on in other parts of the world. Sometimes we don't even have an awareness of what's going on next door. Let's just be honest about that. And because we don't have this awareness, because we don't know what we don't know, there's a lot of judgments and misunderstandings and all of this that can take place within ourselves, within our lives. And I took a minute to humble myself in this process of creating this special edition of the show, because I reached out to Olivia Ambani to be on the show, who's been on the Breakthrough Show before and who lives in Kenya, but she lives in Nairobi, which is a very different area of Kenya than Dago is. And when I spoke to Olivia, it took her a moment to get back to me, and rightly so, because she, like I, was concerned that we were going to present a balanced look at the country of Kenya. And that was my concern as well. I really wanted to create a space where we were, yes, talking about the foundation and the work they're doing in Dago and the people of Dago, but also that not everywhere in Kenya is as destitute as Dago is. And it really it was something I knew, but it wasn't really at the forefront of my mind of how we don't often think about how different even different cities are within the same state or the same country or something like that. And through this process, I learned so much. So one of the things that I was talking about that was ingrained in my head was that I had always heard that Africa as a whole were not that kind to animals. You hear about a lot of the poaching that goes on and the hunting and all of that. And in my mind, because I chose not to go research any of that at any one point of time, I thought that's just the way it was there as a whole. And that is just one example of how uneducated we can be when it comes to certain things. We might hear something that is a certain way, and then we take it to be the full picture of what it is. And as I was doing my research of Kenya, it was so interesting to find out how much conservation efforts go on in Kenya for the animals, and that it's actually illegal to do certain kinds of hunting there. And I was just so blown away by that. And also, I continue to be moved and think we could definitely take things to heart here in the United States about it, but that the way that they treat their heritage, where they come from, their elders, their senior citizens. Olivia was talking about how beautiful it is. So they have more than 60 languages in Kenya alone. And one of the things that they do, so most of them know English and Swahili or one or the other, but then the other thing they know is their mother's native tongue, where they come from. And I thought that was the most beautiful thing, because how often are we quick to sort of say, well, they're old, and denounce the ways of our heritage or our ancestors, when there's so much that can be learned and honored there. And so that was just another thing that sticks out in my mind of something really beautiful, a beautiful tradition that they do there. And I'm still picking apart, even though I was hosting that episode, I'm still very much picking apart how much I learned, and how much I was taken out of my own comfort zone of admitting that there has been plenty of times where I have not done enough research, where I have heard one thing and assumed one thing about a specific culture or a specific place in the world or a specific tradition. And the one thing that I really leaned on a lot, especially in my live yesterday morning that I did over on TikTok Live, was that how important it is for us to take the perspective that everyone has their own perspective. Even if we don't agree with something that someone does, even if we don't understand someone's tradition or agree with someone's tradition, whether it's culturally or just something that they do, we might not agree with a choice that they make. We might not agree with the way that they live their lives. But if we take the opportunity to say, I'm going to try to at least understand where they're coming from. And one of the things that I've said to myself often in the last year and a half, it's really become a frequent practice of mine, is saying, what must they have been through? What kind of life must they live? What must they have experienced in order to reach the space where they're at, in order to make the decision that they've made? And it allows me to look into other people's lives from a space of empathy and understanding. It doesn't mean we have to agree. I think a lot of people get that wrong. I think a lot of people look into and feel like if I don't agree with what they're doing, then that doesn't bring me joy, that I don't understand that, what have you. But I think that's wrong. I think that if we can try to understand that everybody's perspective and experience is different, and we can come into it with saying, I don't necessarily agree with what you're doing, but I can respect it and understand it. Yesterday on my, I want to point out really quick, Jimmy was saying, we are all biased in some way, some perspective. Absolutely. We are all influenced by other people and experiences and things. And we do have to, I believe, so I want to talk to the leaders for a minute that are watching. If you identify as a leader in this life in whatever way, whether that's a leader in your household, a leader at your job, a leader in the world in some way, if we are saying that we want to have more peace and understanding in the world, then we have to do better at educating ourselves and also coming from that perspective, like I said, of just because you don't agree, that doesn't mean that you can't respect and understand where someone else might be coming from. The best thing is to be able to talk about our differences, even if we don't agree. I'll share with you something that happened yesterday. So during my live yesterday morning, now typically I've said this several times the last couple of days, I have been so honored and blessed and fortunate and all of the words you can think of on all of my live streams, all of my TikTok lives, all of my shows in the comments. I have literally the best people that come through. I'm so honored and proud to call so many of you my friends, and it's been such a beautiful experience. But occasionally, as we know, when you put, and as I've shared before about that one infamous TikTok, people aren't always kind. And we know that. And people sometimes come to just stir the pot a little bit, which is, Bobby Brown said it, their prerogative. So yesterday I was live and I was sharing, I don't remember even how we got on the topic, but I was sharing about why we're plant-based and how we became plant-based. And That's a good point too, Chad. I'm married. I've learned to accept that I'm not always right, even though I am. I love it. So I was sharing about on the live why I'm plant-based, why my family's plant-based, why we choose to be. And someone came on in the middle of the conversation who didn't even hear, the back end of what I was saying, and jumped into the conversation saying, I own a cattle farm. Now, I know a lot of, and no shade, no hate, no nothing. This is about compassion and love here. I know a lot of vegans and, plant-based people who would have gotten mad about that, who would have blocked them, who would have whatever. And my response to them was, that's great for you. It wouldn't work out for me, but it's great for you. Do I necessarily agree with having a cattle ranch as a plant-based person? No, but that's my choice, my decision, my perspective. And it is not for me to suddenly go down a rabbit hole of being all ticked off at them. And so I literally in that moment practiced what I preach, which was saying to myself, who knows? It could have been passed down from their family before. It's what they grew up with. It's what they know. And I will still share my perspective. I will still share my thoughts, but I can try to understand what kind of life that they live and what their beliefs might be and what perspective they might have in order to do something that is outside of what I know that I would do. And they continued to say different things, asked me if my chair was leather and all of that. It's not. So, but they came in with the intention of stirring the pot. And so I try to, and oftentimes what leads to a lot of this discomfort and lack of joy as we are trying to relate to other people and trying to have deeper, meaningful conversations is when people feel threatened. We as humans inherently want to be right. Isn't that right, Chad? We want to be right. We want to be heard. We want to feel like we are correct. We want to feel like we don't want to feel like the things that we've always known to be are wrong. No one likes that. No one likes to feel like they are not the winner. You know what I mean? Absolutely. Perspective can be a bitch. And Donnell is agreeing with you, Chad, about being right in that marriage thing, but no one likes to be wrong. And so if we choose to come into conversations without needing to be right or wrong, with just having our perspective and letting someone else have their perspective, it doesn't mean that you can't change your perspective as well. But I don't necessarily think that we are doing any good as leaders to try to force change on other people. We don't need to force change on other people. Isn't it just as effective to practice what you preach and to let things speak for themselves? I struggled when going back to that infamous TikTok that came out, because I felt very much, and I actually had this conversation with my amazing husband yesterday. I felt on that particular TikTok that my character was being threatened. And I don't do very well when my character is questioned. And that's something that I'm working on personally. Because, and I think for me, here's a vulnerable moment with you guys. I think for me, I've done so much work on myself, on my personal development, on my growth as a human, that when someone tries to say that I'm something I'm not, I don't take that very well. I don't handle that very well. And sometimes I feel like I want to lash out about it. And other times I feel like I get really quiet and I go into a space of reflection and I ask myself, where did that come from? Am I presenting myself in some kind of way that I'm not meaning to? And I'm learning as time goes on to find the joy in knowing what I know inside me and not worrying as much about if other people get it wrong, that's not necessarily my responsibility. And defensive posture can be good or bad depending. In your case, I'm sure you're being contemplative mostly. Yeah. I tend to, and I've been even more in this energy the last week and a half or so, almost 2 weeks, of wanting to be more contemplative, reflective, thinking about things. And sometimes I get that way. Sometimes I'm all out there and sharing all the things, and other days I'm very inside myself. And I think sometimes that when we continue to see a specific theme coming up of challenge in our lives, that it's a good time to be reflective. If you keep seeing the same thing popping up over and over, it's usually God or the universe being like, listen, lady, you need to pay attention to that. But I find joy in that now, of taking that reflective time and taking that time to say, what do I need to look at deeper in my life right now? And through this process of understanding myself better, I'm also understanding other people better, and offering, when I say to myself about other people, other cultures, what must they have experienced in order to get to that space, I ask myself the same thing. I offer myself that same space of loving kindness, if you will, to say, Jessica, what must you have been through to get to that space of feeling like you need to defend yourself against someone who is questioning your character? And so when I get quiet, when I get reflective, when I go to that space, those are the kinds of questions that I'm asking myself, because I think as important it is for us to offer that space to other people, it's just as important for us to offer that space to ourselves. Ask yourself, I ask you guys all the time, what's bringing you joy today? I ask myself now in the morning, what's bringing you joy today, Jessica? What must I have been through to get to that space where I find myself reacting? What must I have been through? And I look at it and I process it and I offer myself some grace. And it's really easy, Chad saying, never let a troll absorb your energy. It only makes them stronger. Absolutely. It's really easy to sit there and say, well, just ignore it. And what I've explained to people, and one of the things that I talked about yesterday morning, was that even if you know that what someone else is saying is untrue, even if somebody comes in and says, you're not a nice person, and you know that's ridiculous because you know that you're a nice person, there's still the energy of those words there. So even if you don't believe what someone's saying, even if you don't allow a person to have a moment with it, there's still that energy of that there. So how do we find the joy in that? And I think one of the things is that we can find the joy in is not allowing ourselves to dwell in that space, to acknowledge that it's there, to make the changes that we need to make, to look at what we need to look at, and then move on from it, move to the next thing, go to the next topic, go to the next focus of our energy, to not dwell into that space. There's so much joy that can be found in allowing things to flow, to go to the next thing. I think that's really important to look at. So my question for all of you guys today, and as we're talking about joy, is when is the last time you have allowed yourself to answer the same questions, to dwell in the same space of the good energy that you create for everyone else? When is the last time that you have allowed yourself to experience the joy that you want to see created for others? Now, I know a lot of you guys are jumping up right now going, well, I do stuff for myself all the time. I mean, really reside in that space of joy that you want, that you say you want to see in other people, that you say you want them to live in. That's my question for you guys today. Are you asking yourself the same questions you're asking of others? Are you creating the same space of love and kindness and joy and compassion for yourself that you are creating for others? Jimmy said it can be tough. It touches on an insecurity. That's the rub. Having self-love and confidence is the key. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it does come back to that. It does come back to really loving yourself. And I believe that it's a very multifaceted conversation to have, like everything else. It's a very multifaceted conversation to have because I can say confidently and firmly that I love myself and I appreciate myself. But it is a conscious choice to do that. That means that there are still moments when I may go backwards a second. There may be moments when I find it more of a challenge to love myself than other days. But that doesn't mean that I don't love myself. It means that in that moment, it is a challenge for me to make that conscious choice. An amazing example of this is that there were a couple of memes going around on Facebook a few years ago, and we actually talked about them on the Breakthrough Show, that said, one side of it said, one of them said, like, an unhealed person does these things. A healed person does these things. A person who loves themselves does these things. A person who does not love themselves does these things. And I just thought that was the biggest load of horseshit I have ever heard in my life. This is why, because there's no person that 100% is completely healed. Like, there is no person that's 100% one way. And for everyone that says that self-love is not a conscious choice, I have to disagree. I have to disagree, because even loving other people is a conscious choice. If someone that you love does something that you don't love, you have to choose consciously, or subconsciously even, do I still want to love this person despite them doing these things? Okay. And so when we look at do we love ourselves? We can absolutely love ourselves. We can absolutely be healed and unhealed at the same exact time. We can love ourselves and not love ourselves so much at the exact same time. Love is absolutely a choice, Jimmy. Absolutely. And that's one of the things, going to my guilty pleasure for a second here, which is Married at First Sight. You guys have heard me talk about this before. That show is a whole train wreck and a half. It's a mess on there. But looking in, there are sometimes couples that come in that will say they're waiting. They are waiting for the fireworks and all the things to happen. They are waiting for a tattoo and a sign from God to be able to tell their new spouse that they just married that they love them, because they're looking at it as this thing that they don't have control over. And granted, there's something to be said for fireworks and for those ooey gooey yummy feelings that you feel towards another person. But ultimately, love is love, and it's a choice to choose to love someone. It is the best show ever. I don't care what anybody says. It truly has been, for something that is seriously trash TV. It has been a beautiful opportunity to look in on it, on reflection about your own relationships and everything else. But it's this moment of, knowing in those particular circumstances of saying, you can choose to love whoever you want. I tell everybody that I love them, because I do genuinely. And I don't know how to express that in ways that people are going to believe. And there we go back to that questioning, myself or my character or whatever. I do genuinely, when I leave my lives and I say, I love you all so very much, thank you for being here, I mean that. I mean that with every part of my being. I mean that I love you so much. I believe there are different levels of love. I believe there are so many different facets to it, and it's fascinating. Yes, Jimmy, a lot of people don't understand that. They don't understand that at all. And they're more careful with the love thing. But they are choosing to allow it to love the other one they just met because they are so willing and wanting. Yeah. Yes, I believe it is an allowing that needs to happen as well. So Donnell brings up a really interesting point. He says, I believe that you have to love yourself before you can successfully love someone else. I used to really believe that. And let me say that I think it's more than just black and white, that particular thing. I do agree with you to a point. And this is what I mean by that. There have been times in my life when I really have not loved myself very much, but I have loved other people very deeply. Now, if you're talking about, this goes into a very deep, wonderful, juicy conversation about what does love mean to you. So if I perceive love to be a specific kind of way, or that it looks like something, I may love someone differently than what they believe love is supposed to look like. Again, it goes back to what Jimmy was saying. For some, love is exclusive, for some that it's inclusive. So looking at it from the perspective of just, I've had different experiences. I have a different picture of what love is supposed to look like. it may look differently for me than it does to someone else. So I know that there have been times for me where I have not loved myself very much. I've been very cruel to myself in many ways, but I've still loved other people very deeply. Now, as far as the actions surrounding love, as far as showing love, I believe that that is the difference. That in order to successfully show love to other people, we have to have a little bit of a deeper understanding of what love looks like for us, of what it looks like to other people. So that's where I say I agree, but also let's take it a little bit further of saying we can love other people, but not maybe necessarily showing it in the way because of bias, because of experience, because maybe we don't love ourselves enough, because of all of these different things. So I think it's a very, 800 shades of gray kind of question, or topic when we talk about self-love, and how that relates to loving other people. It's a really interesting topic to go down. Chad's bringing up Michael Jackson, Man in the Mirror. You have to start with yourself, I think, in some respects, but I don't think that it is impossible, especially having lived the experience that I have lived. I do not think it is impossible to love others before you love yourself. But I think it might be harder to keep up long term. I think it might be harder to show in some cases. I think it's very much a gray question, a gray topic, and not necessarily black and white, but I love it. I love it so much. And thank you, Donnell, for bringing that up as well. Chad was saying love and trust are everything. If you don't have it with the person in your mirror, then you have to fix that first. You can and probably should, but definitely, again, not always. It's not a have to, but I believe that if we're talking about joy, which is what this show is about, I think it can be a much more joyful experience when you allow yourself to have that love with no boundaries, to fully love yourself as best as you can in the moment, to fully love others as best as you can in the moment, to not put restrictions on waiting for something magical to happen before you can express your love to someone else, to love without reason, to love in spite of, to love just because. There's a lot of joy to be had there. Affectionate love, pragma, enduring love, familiar love, romantic love, playful love. I love it. So many great examples there, Jimmy. Many types of love. Absolutely. I truly love each and every one of you, whether you're joining me on TikTok stream this morning or on the Breakthrough Show page or on E360 TV. I genuinely, truly love each and every one of you, and I'm so honored and grateful to know all of you. We're going to take a quick break, you guys, and we are going to be back in just a minute for more Project Joy Live. Don't stay tuned because we've got some announcements coming up. So hang out with us for just a few minutes. We'll be right back. Breakthroughs are about more than you might think. They're about discovering who you are, digging deep, reaching to the core of your soul. They're about healing yourself, understanding your beliefs, creating a ripple effect. And it's not just those initial moments that matter. It's about using them to bring more joy into our own lives and the lives of others. It's about having fun, letting loose, enjoying every moment life has to offer. It's about finding a safe space. It's about creating connection. Join us each and every month for exclusive programming, where we invite you to go beyond the breakthrough. So we ask you, are you ready? We'll see you online at thebreakthroughshow.com. Welcome back to Project Joy Live, part of the Breakthrough Show Network and also the E360 TV network. I'm so honored to be affiliated with both groups. So much fun, so much beauty and joy and networking as well. I want to give you guys some quick announcements for some stuff that's coming up this week, because we have quite a busy week on the Breakthrough Show Network. So coming up later this afternoon at 2 p.m. Central Time, 3 p.m. Eastern, we have Rewriting Reality with Shiraz. If you guys have not checked out that show, you definitely need to take the time to do that. It is really incredible. Shiraz uses a process called energetic magic that really helps you to get past some of the blocks that you're experiencing in your life. So definitely be sure to check that out at 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern Time today. On Thursday, you guys, we have Throwback Thursday with myself and Kevin Kiley at 5 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. A refreshing look back at 80s and 90s pop culture, the music, the movies, the fashion, the hair, the lessons, every last Thursday at 5 p.m. Central Time, only on the Breakthrough Show Network. So make sure you guys tune in for that. It's going to be a blast as always. And I just need some people to come and watch that show just to honor the fact that I spend an hour and a half on my 1985 hair and makeup look. Okay, you guys, I go through a can of hairspray every single last Thursday of the month. So I need you to come check that out. Also coming up on Friday on the Breakthrough Show, we have season 5, episode 12 of the show with myself. And I am so pumped up to have my own personal trainer, Lisa Peranzo, is going to be on the show. And do you see that beautiful face on the right? That is Shelly Belly. And she is one of the most amazing fun comedians I have met on TikTok. She is going to be hanging out with us. If you guys that are watching and are listening over on TikTok have not gone to Shelly Belly Comedy, please go do that, because Shelly is hilarious. And she has this whole bit that she does about her redneck neighbor, Donna, across the street. And you guys are going to laugh your pants off. You'll also get to see a little bit of the more serious side of Shelly Belly. So I'm really excited to do that on Friday's show as well. So make sure you guys tune in for that. I want to acknowledge some of the comments that have come in since we were on break. Jimmy, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I don't always live my life in a perfect way, but I'm trying to be trying to practice what I preach, man, you know, which is about love and joy. And if I'm not emanating that, then what the hell is the point? You know what I mean? Jester said Jimmy was cheating, and I agree that, you know, he just using his resources. That's all that it is. That's all that it is. I want to say hello to a family member who joined in this morning. I love you too. That's my Auntie Stella down there. Stella Martin down in Baltimore, Maryland. Thank you so much, Auntie Stella, for coming on this morning. You're killing me. You're killing me here. Shiraz is amazing. Absolutely. Kevin Kiley is awesome. I love you, Donnell. I love you and I love your wife. I love your whole family. Thank you so much for coming on with us this morning. We've enjoyed having you here. The 80s look is fierce. I'm not going to lie. You need to tune in on Thursday. I used some herbal essences, which is probably why it takes me a whole can to get it to stay, because it is not Aquanet. Be the change, Judith says. I agree 100%. And y'all make sure that you connect with Judith Finneran. Check out Ghost Bike, and also the book, Remember His Name. Judith is going to be a guest on the Breakthrough Show coming up not too long from now. So make sure that you check that out. All right, you guys, it has been another fantastic episode today. I want to thank everybody for watching or listening wherever you are in the world. And remember to make joy a priority in your life today and every day. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas, and I'll see you next time, because why not? See you next Monday, guys. You've been listening to the Project Joy podcast with your host, Jessica Dugas. We'll see you again next Monday and every Monday for another episode to start your week off right.